over here I'm writing down our perfect cubes. 4 to the third is 64. Okay, is the number 2 a perfect cube? Or is the number 54 a perfect cube? No. But can I divide both of these numbers by 2?
Yes.
Yeah, so I can basically pull this 2 out, and I would have x to the third plus, what's 54 divided by 2? I'm guessing it's 27.
Okay.
Okay.
Write this down.
All right. Now
You
those,
just divided everything?
I just divided everything. Yeah, factored out that 2. Those are divisible. I mean, not divisible. They were divisible by 2. Those are perfect cubes. So now I can use my formula. I'll write it up here. It was a plus b. Does anybody have it? A squared, b squared.
A plus b.
I think it's minus.
Cubed plus b cubed equals a minus b, and then a squared plus ab plus b squared.
I'm pretty sure there's a minus between the a squared.
And then me too. I just want to make sure I do my minus sign and plus sign right. I think that first part's right.
And then
No,
somewhere
but they're
there's a
cubed.
Not once you factor it.
That's how you wrote it yesterday.
Yeah, she's just writing what's on the other side.
Yeah, I'm writing what's on the right side, and it is a minus sign. You were correct, Thad. That's what.
I was correct.
I think that's what you said. That's what our formula is. And what she was saying was over here, if you have a sum, I didn't even write it right, of perfect cubes, then this is how you factor them. All right, do I have a sum of perfect cubes?
Yes.
Yes. So I will factor them using this right here. So my A is X, and what's my B? It's not 27. What am I cubing?
Oh,
The third.
The 3, yeah. Okay, right here is what 27. What am I cubing? 3. So I'm using X and 3. So I'm going to write those in all these spots. X plus 3. That's the first thing I'll write.
And then x squared.
Very good.
Minus x plus 20. I mean times 27.
Times 3.
Times 3.
So that's 3x. Because remember, we're using X and 3. And then
3 squared.
very good, which is what? 9. Now, everybody look at that and make sure you understand where we got the X's and 3's. We already said we were using X and 3, so I just replaced my A's and B's with X and 3. Question?
why did you replace your b with 3?
Because she
Because what am I cubing? Oh yeah, cube root of 27 is 3. Okay, what am I cubing to get 27? Then 3. Okay, is everybody good with that? Now this one, I already know what that root is, that answer. If I set that equal to 0, what would x be?
Negative 3.
-3. So one of my answers, I'll write it right here, is -3. I'm done with that one. Check. Now this one, can I factor it? Can I find factors of 9 that would ever add up to -3?
No.
Sadly, no. So the only other method that we're going to use is the quadratic formula.
Is there ever going to be where we don't have to use that?
Maybe, I don't know. All of these problems are wanting you to practice the quadratic formula. So that's why they're all this way. But maybe on a test or, it would be easier where you could just factor and be done. Okay, so x equals negative b. Remember, this is my a is 1, my b is -3, and my c is 9. Does everybody already know that? That's your a, b, and c. So -3. What do I write? Yeah, so that's my negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared. What's -3 squared?
Negative 9.
No, positive 9. It should always go, when you square something, it'll always be positive.
Yes.
Let's see, where am I at? Negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c. A was 1, c was 9. All over.
Where did you get 4?
That's in our formula. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac.
Okay.
All over 2 times a. What's 2 times 1? 2.
2.
There we go. All right, now let's keep going. Let's simplify what's underneath the square root, this radical.
Okay.
So I'm going to write them a little bit bigger. 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 minus what? What's 4 times 1 times 9?
4 times
36.
Yeah.
All over 2. And what's 9 minus 36?
23.
Negative.
20.
What was that?
Okay, so I'm going to write over here equals 3 plus or minus the square root. What was 9 minus 36?
27.
Negative 27 divided by 2. Is there a number that goes
there's
in?
There's going to be an I, Miss Casey.
There is going to be an I. Very good, Thad,
It's
because there's a
negative.
negative. So is there a number that goes into 27 that's a perfect square?
Yes, 3.
Yeah.
3 is not a perfect square.
No.
The other number is 9. 9 is a perfect square, right? What's 9 times 3?
27.
There you go. So look, I'll write it over here. The square root of negative 27 would be negative 9 times
Don't
3,
forget your I.
right? That's like a little side note over here. So there you go. We're going to put the square root of negative 9 is 3i, and what's left over under here? The 3.
And then you can make
All over 2.
Wait, and then it just stays the same.
It has to stay that way. I'll go back if I need to this step. But this one, can I divide by 2?
No.
No. So we leave it like that. That's our answer. So one answer was negative 3, and here's my other 2 answers because the plus and the minus give me 2 different answers. Does everybody understand how I went from negative 27, that square root, to the 3i squared of 3? Are we feeling better about these yet?
No.
See, I was about to say
Where's
that.
the
See, I
9?
feel like I can do this.
Where'd
right?
this 9 come from?
And then, like,
Then where'd it go?
when the test
What's the
is
square root of
on,
9?
I'm just not going to figure it out.
That's where it went, right here. And with the negative, the square root of the negative, that's why I wrote the I. And then I left my 3 underneath there. Okay? Anybody else have a question? We're going to do another one.
I feel pretty good about it.
You're,
But then, like, when the test comes around.
I know. It's just going to be a lot.
It's just confusing.
Ugh. No. Okay, the next one, right now. I didn't write that. I was in this book. Number 4. We have 2x to the third minus 250 equals 0. Are those perfect cubes?
Yes.
Really?
Does 250 go?
Here's cubes right here. I didn't write that again. These are perfect cubes. Are 2 and 250 written down? No.
I think it was a little further down the list.
It would, but I'm just going to tell you it's not a perfect cube. Can I reduce those? Can I divide them both by 2?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So I get x to the third and 125. Are those perfect cubes?
Yes.
Yes. What are we cubing? Right here we're cubing an x. And what are we cubing right here? Does anybody know? Very good. 5. Now, what's the formula for the difference of cubes?
For the difference?
Yep, so
we just did.
we did a sum.
Oh, there's 2 pluses.
A minus B goes first, and he is correct. No, he's correct on the 2 plus signs.
Oh, I was right. Ha! Your face.
Those are plus signs. That's our formula. Will I give you the formula on the test?
No, you won't.
Probably not.
No. Yeah, wait. Yeah, you will
Yes, I will.
because we need.
Oh, that's a
Yes, I will. Okay, now I'm using x and 5. Is everybody good with that? So I will write x minus 5. That was this part right here. And then
Right.
what comes next?
X squared
Okay, plus
x times 5. X 5x.
5x, very good, plus
5 squared.
which is,
25.
there we go. Now my first answer is what?
5.
5, because that would make that go to 0, right? X equals
Are they
5.
all gonna be like that?
Yeah, where one of them's, yeah, because look, they're all going to be just like this. It's going to be that easy. Okay? Every once in a while, there was one where it said like 2x minus 3. Remember, that's 3 halves. I don't know if you set that equal to 0, you would add 3 and then divide by 2. So there were.
Let's chill with that. I'm about to get confused.
Okay, chill with that. Okay. Anyway, for this one, well, I was just, so every once in a while it looks like that. But we have 5 as one of our answers. Write that down. Don't forget about that one. Okay, 5 is one of our answers. This one, I cannot factor. because there's nothing that multiplies to 25 that adds to 5.
Use the formula.
Quadratic formula. So x equals negative b. What do I write?
5.
Negative 5 plus or minus the square root of b squared
5 squared.
5 squared.
minus, that was 5 squared, minus 4 times 1, which is our a, right here, times c, 25.
So is that negative 100?
Yeah. All over 2 times 1.
2.
All right, now let's keep going. I'll
Well-
bring down my negative 5.
If there's gonna be a negative 100 in that square root.
Well, it's 25 minus 100.
Negative 75.
Yep, all over 2. So I'll rewrite it. Let's keep going. I get negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 75.
So it's an I.
So it has an I. Now, there is a perfect square in 25. What is it? What numbers go into 25? I mean,
5 and 5 and 5.
75. 25 and 3.
Come from?
Where, what?
No, you said 25. I was like, where's 25 at?
She was looking
Okay.
at that too.
I said the answer. So,
25.
in 75, think of perfect squares. What's 1 squared? 1. What's 2 squared? 4. What's 3 squared? 9. What's 4 squared? 16. What's 5 squared?
25.
25. Does 25 go into 75?
Yes.
How many times? 3. So if I wrote a little side note, I could put 25 times 3. Does everybody understand that that's the same thing as the 75? Now, all right, let me just write this down. I write my negative 5 and my plus or minus. What is the square root of negative and 25? What's the square root of 25?
5.
And what happens when there's a negative?
5.
I. So 5i, and what's left over in my square root? A 3. And I put this over 2. Now, sometimes, like yesterday, we were able to reduce. Can we reduce this one?
No.
No, so we would leave it.
So it's that comma 5.
So, yes, so it's these 2 answers and 5. That's 2 answers, and that's our third answer. Okay, if I had graphed this starting equation right here on my graphing calculator, it would have given me decimal answers. This is how you find exact answers. The graphing calculator gives you estimated decimal answers, okay? That's the difference in doing the 2 problems, which way you do that. I'll give you a hint. If it's multiple choice and you had a bunch of square roots and stuff, you can maybe type it in your calculator and see which one matches. I don't know. Sometimes you can do that and sometimes you can't. Anyway, that's how we do that worksheet. We will come back to this on our study guide day. Okay, let's just move forward now to our next lesson.
Is it easier?
I like the
I don't know if
next
you can get my card.
lesson. Yeah, to me, I think this one was pretty rough. But if you hate long division, you will hate today's lesson. Let's take
It's not hard. It's just
let's see.
tedious.
432 divided by 5. What in the world do I mean by long division? This right here. No, we can't. We're not using calculators. We're about to do this with polynomials. Okay?
Why can't we just
Okay,
divide
what's
it?
this calculator?
Because a calculator cannot say 5x to the third plus 2x squared minus 4x plus 4 divided by 3x minus 2.
What?
Yeah, a calculator can't do that. Okay?
I can't do that either.
Yes, you will.
Okay.
Now, but the whole reason, yes, your calculator can do this, but I want to remind you what long division is. You take this number, and how many times can it go into 43? 8 times. Yeah, not 4. It can't go into 4, so then you go to 43. 8 times 5 is what?
40.
And then I subtract, and I bring down my 32.
And then it'd be
How many
6.
times does 5 go into 32?
And then you add a 0.
And I have 2. So it's 86, and what's our remainder?
2.
Do y'all remember that?
And Remember that? Like,
Barely.
Sometimes you did like 86 and 2 like there was different ways.
What do you,
Oh,
what
dude,
do you do with
I
that?
grew up.
We would write it like that.
Yeah, that's how you spread.
Remainder 2. So today we're going to divide polynomials. If they have no remainder, then it was a factor. If they do have a remainder, then it wasn't a factor. That's kind of what we're looking at. Well, no, we stop there. We don't keep adding to our polynomials. Yeah. And you start doing decimals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like 0.4.
Yeah.
It
So,
could be 20.
but we're not doing that. We're just doing, we have remainders or we don't have remainders. So let me just keep moving on
So
with
we
today's
just get,
stuff.
So we just get 2 numbers and then put R2.
It's different. I just wanted to remind everybody what long division is.
Bad to put R2.
I think I will teach you listen, I'm going to teach you because you have to know both ways. 2 different ways. One of them will be called, I'm guessing it's just long division, okay? The other one is called synthetic division. You can pick either way. You need to know how to do both of these things, all right? I think synthetic division may be a little bit easier. Sometimes students would just forget the method, and that's what makes it harder. Anyway, you're learning 2 of those things today, and that's it. Now, I'm going to take our polynomial. I'm going to take 4x squared. I'm going to make sure I leave plenty of space. 4x squared plus 23x minus 16, and it tells me to divide by x plus 5, so I'm dividing that by x plus 5. And it says, what's the quotient and the remainder? That's your quotient, that's your remainder, okay? So it just wants us to divide. All right, you start with your x. What would I multiply? Ben, this is not easy, so you might want to pay attention. What am I going to multiply? All you care about is this one right here. You're going to use the x and the 5, but we're looking at the x. What do I multiply by x to match the 4x squared? A 4 and an x. Does everybody agree with that? If I put my 4x here, that's what I'm going to multiply both of these things by. So 4x times x is what? 4x squared. It has to match. Does everybody get that? That's what you're matching.
You get a 4 and then you have 2x.
You have, yes. So that's our 4x squared. Then I still have my 5. We're distributing it, right? What's 4x times 5? 20x. And then, just like we did up here, we subtract. Okay?
So those are going to cancel
So
out.
those have to cancel out.
3.
And this is going to be a 3x and bring down minus 16.
Dude, this is like long division with x's.
It is. That's all. It's the same thing.
Squared.
Look at that. He's just getting into this. Okay. All right. So what? Now we're still looking at that x. What times x is 3x?
3.
And it's a positive 3, so I put a what?
You don't have to put an x
Plus 3 because it already has the x.
Yeah,
So now we distribute it. 3 times x is
3x. And then you're just left with 16.
and 3 times 5 is
15. There you go.
15.
Remainder of
Now,
one.
but we're subtracting. Okay, remember. So be careful. No, be careful. 3x minus 3x goes away.
Right.
What is negative 16 minus 15? Because we're subtracting.
Oh.
Negative.
Negative 31. So your quote, how do they say this? Okay, yeah. 4x plus 3 with a remainder of negative 31. And they write it like this. 4x plus 3, remainder, negative 31. How was that?
That wasn't that bad. I'd rather do that than the thing.
This stuff yesterday. I think this stuff is better. I like this.
This is boring.
It's boring.
I don't like
Just
Well,
fun.
Thad and I were really like getting into it.
Well, I mean, there was really nothing else to do in here, so I'm just being straight with you.
Okay. Okay, we ready for another one? Yeah.
This is better than those that I have. This is like not fun.
Well,
Usually fun.
yeah. every day?
For anybody.
Yeah, to her.
Well, I mean, you know,
Okay.
it's easy right now, but I feel like later on throughout this
No,
lesson,
wait, there's a twist.
3x squared. Synthetic division is
I
your
feel like there's gonna be
twist.
an eye somewhere coming in.
3x squared
He's gonna come in from
minus 29x plus 56.
This is inside the division.
I want you to divide that, because they may word it like this. Divide this by, and then they're going to say x minus 7. So I'm going to put my little x minus 7 over here.
Okay.
Just a hint, because there's not a twist, but when I add on, this has a remainder, so it's not a factor. That's the whole next kind of question. If this went to 0, then guess what? Those are the factors.
Can I take a picture of that so I can write it down?
Yeah, here, but this is, just so you're not.
Squiggly.
This is 5-4, right?
This is 5-4, yeah.
What about this worksheet? We just keep it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really don't want to look at that anymore.
I don't want to ever open
Pretty
it.
sure I
Can I get a whiteboard? Are we doing these?
In a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, not yet. I want to go over a few, and then I'll let y'all try some. Do y'all want to do them on whiteboards?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or just on here?
So I can have more practice and we can like do it together.
I feel like it probably helped me in
We'll
the
see.
long run.
Okay, we'll see. Okay, on this one, now I'm dividing by x minus 7. So what do I have to multiply by x?
3x.
There you go. 3x.
Chill out.
All right.
Chill out.
Y'all aren't kind of proud of him? I'm proud. Why is this? It was ever paused, because look, it keeps doing, yeah, I think it was just kind of.
You just unpaused it.
Now, so 3x times x is the 3x squared. That had to match.
Why are you putting up a 3 up there?
Because it has to match.
Look,
What?
You see the x, just okay. There's an x there, and then you do a 3x, so that way it becomes x squared too.
Okay,
You see what I'm saying?
another way to explain this is, say this 3x isn't here yet. What do I need to multiply by this x to give me 3x squared? Number one, we need a 3, and we need one more x. So now 3x times x is 3x squared. I needed that to match.
And you just brought that down.
No, I didn't bring it down, I multiplied it. So I'm not bringing that down. Now, what is 3x times negative 7? I'm basically distributing it.
Negative 21.
Negative 21x. And then now I'm going to subtract. That's the only thing you need to be careful on. Like, these should always go away.
It just goes away.
No, the 3x squares go away. What is negative? So I would type this in a calculator if you get confused ever. Negative 29 minus negative 21. Because remember, we're always subtracting. I have no idea.
Yes.
Isn't it negative 50?
Negative 29 minus a negative 21. So it should be a negative 8. Who got negative 8? The first? Yeah.
Shoot, I was off. I said negative 50.
Yes. Yeah, you had to distribute this to both of those terms. Now, I have a negative 8x. Then I bring down, this is when you bring down, it's just like long division.
Right.
Bring down the 56. What do I need to multiply by x to make it a negative 8x? A negative 8. So now I'm going to do that. Negative 8 times x, those match. Negative 8 times negative 7, what's that?
56.
56.
Oh, those are the factors.
So So now I'm subtracting that. They actually all cancel out, and there's no remainder. Well, in a second, what you would know, and I'm about to go over that, is that means that these are your two factors of this polynomial. It's just another way to factor.
Wait, in this case, I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so wouldn't you have to put another 8 on there to make sure that it's 56, or do you just keep the same 8 that you already have?
This one?
Yeah.
Well, just if I multiplied it by both of those and I put them here, everything went away to 0.
Okay.
So there's nothing else to bring down. Now, they would write it 3x minus 8, remainder of 0. Like, they might write it like that.
I get it.
If they ask for a remainder, that one just is 0. There's no remainder.
3x minus
How do we
8,
feel on those?
Good.
Good.
Good? Okay.
I feel pretty-
The
pretty
next
decent.
one says, do y'all want to try some of these?
Can we do them on the whiteboard?
Yeah, this is kind of. Can we like go through one together, like on the whiteboards?
On the
I need to like.
I mean, I understand.
All right, y'all will get a marker, but you're going to do this first problem. They have x squared. Y'all, and this is the way it's written. Let me show you this. This is number 1. Or I could just tell you. But, and I'll pass these out. Y'all are going to do number 1. This is the way they write it. This trinomial divided by this.
They write it backwards.
So I write, well, yeah, they're just telling you take this and divide it by this. So I'm about to x squared minus 13x minus 48, and they want us to divide it by x plus 3. Okay? So that's how we write it to do the problem.
Okay.
Can you give me a marker?
I'm
Okay,
good
next is
with erasers.
Does anybody want a paper so they don't, like I could just tell you what number we're doing?
Yes.
Some of you do? Who? Because that way you don't have to look at the board. So we're on number 1.
I like looking at the
Guys?
paper.
Yeah,
I like looking at
Do you want mine?
I don't know if these markers are gonna edit it.
Because I have plans. We're on number 1.
Hold on.
Can you what? What's in your locker?
What's up, man?
I'm not gonna get yelled at for getting everybody a bad marker.
Proof here?
What did you kill it?
I don't think we'll need
Let
you.
me try to. They said it's proof.
It's not like Just give 'em one.
Well, then they're gonna complain because I gave them a bad one.
They're gonna complain anyway. Oh, yeah, I would use the big ones.
Is it bad?
I mean, it works, but.
Let me make sure I paused it.
Did you put your hand out? You don't get one.
Go through this one, and then I'll give you the next one. What times x
X.
is x squared?
X.
You have to be able to, that's your first step. You have to be able to figure out, what do I multiply by this to make it match that? An x is all we're missing. I have one x, I need an x squared.
That X just left.
It's probably not our stuff, because it wasn't yesterday. X times x is x squared. Then you still have to distribute it to the 3. What's x times 3?
3x.
3x. So you write them down.
So that's gonna
And then
be
we
equal
subtract.
out, and then negative 13 minus 3.
Negative 13.
Minus 3. It's in positive 3. Negative 13 minus 3. We get a negative 16x and bring down the next one.
So it'd be minus 48.
Yeah. Now, what times x is negative 16x?
Negative 16.
Negative 16. So then I go ahead and distribute it to both of those things. Negative 16x, and what's negative 16 times 3? I believe it's negative 48.
Negative 48. Wait.
Uh-huh.
Why'd you
So there's no
So it's
way.
x minus 16 with a random.
Why did I get what?
Did you just do
You have to
negative-
distribute it to everything.
Oh, that top part.
This goes to both of those. Yes.
How'd you get 16 on top?
Right here?
Oh.
Oh, I said once I got, hold on. Once I get this part, I bring this down. What times x is negative 16x? Negative 16.
Okay.
So, and then I multiply it times the 3. Yes.
Oh, never mind, because the 3 and the x.
Okay.
Now, what happens to all that? When I subtract, be careful with your numbers. It goes to 0. So your answer
It's x minus
is x minus 16, remainder of 0. Now, just a question for what we're going to do in a little bit. Is that a factor? Is x plus 3 a factor? Yes, because it what? Had a remainder of 0. That's coming up next.
Are we gonna do number 2?
So yeah, why don't y'all try number 2? And then in a second, I'll do number 3. All right, and here's your number. Y'all want me to write number 2 on the board? Or can y'all see this?
I mean, I can see it on my paper.
Some of y'all didn't get a paper. Here's number 2.
Don't we flip it around?
Yeah.
Oh, column.
Yeah, so you're going to write,
Brand new. It's never.
shh, y'all be quiet, 2x squared plus x minus 7 in the little division thing. And you're going to write your x minus 5 over here. So x minus 5, your little division bar, and
The
then
box.
this, the box. Do I need to write it?
Plus 11.
Would you do what? This is what we should have gotten for number 2.
That's not horrible.
I'm so fancy.
Okay,
I
so
think once we
it's-
think, I think once we do
So
So
more,
the answer would be 2x plus 1
It's
is
just
Remainder 48.
minus
This-
negative.
Yeah, so you might need to use your calculator. This one is not a factor then, right? Because we had a what? A remainder. So it didn't divide evenly. It's not a factor. Think about
It's just
like is 10 divisible by 2?
Yes.
Yeah, because what is 10 divided by 2? 5. Is 10 divisible by 3? No. So it's the same thing. Like when there's a remainder, it's not a factor. This case, it's not a factor because there's a remainder. Let's keep going. I do want to point out something I didn't say.
Are we supposed to write these on the paper or not?
Actually, I'm guessing these are all okay.
It's gonna sound. Are we supposed to write the answer?
No, it's okay. I'll just do participation. So those that are not working will not get participation.
I can't do it on my thing.
That's fine. You're working. I don't care if you use paper or a board. But let me just check one more thing in your book. That one does have one. Okay, we're not to that point yet. All right. Next problem. Do y'all want to do number 3?
Yeah, okay, what
Or do y'all want me to do it or y'all?
I think we should try it.
Okay, number 3 just has,
yeah.
it's just a little bit, it lasts a little bit longer. You do the same steps. It's just, it's got 4.
What times
Can you show the
x
problem?
equals
Yes.
x cubed?
X to the 3rd
What time is it?
plus 5x squared minus 3x minus 1
Maybe x.
Oh my gosh.
Divided
four
by
numbers, I'm freaking out.
x minus 1.
X squared.
Yeah. So, and you'll notice it's all in descending order. Like,
Forget that.
if we,
Okay,
this one will have an x squared. Listen, this one will have an x squared. This one will have an x, right? And then this will be your number, and then you'll have your remainder. Like, it always goes in
Okay, so
descending order.
x squared is what?
Yeah.
I want to. But we're
Okay,
going to
so this was number 3, and Dad has asked us to quietly work on number 4. If you don't know it, if you don't know what to do, then you just wait for me to go over it with everybody at one time. So everybody's going to be quietly working on number 4. Well, here we go. Now, what times x is 3x to the 3rd? First of all, let's see, what number am I missing? Well, I'm missing a 3. I have 1x here. How many more do I need? 2. So that's how I know it's 3x squared. Now I take that number and I distribute every time I take my number up here and I distribute to these two things every time. So what's 3x squared times another x?
3x cubed.
That's what makes it match. Now we distribute it to our 2. What's 3x squared times 2?
I heard the problem wrong. I heard they squared on there.
6x squared.
I'll put
Now, these two would cancel out because remember, I'm subtracting everything. Big old subtraction sign. What is negative 1? There's an understood 1 there. Minus 6.
-7.
So I put a negative
That's where
7x
I
squared
fixed it.
and
I
bring
also
down
did it there.
my negative
I thought
7x.
it was minus.
Questions on that? Remember, we're always subtracting every time, just like we did in long division in 4th grade. Okay,
The x squared is
This
on
can't
the
be
way.
too good stuff.
the
Oh,
x.
wait, no, 'cause it is
No,
x
we
squared.
haven't done that. Now, what am I going to multiply times x to give me a negative 7? Well, a negative 7. And then
X.
one more. This has 1x and I need 2. So you're going to have to put 1 more.
That's
All right? And every time this should be like 1 less. If that has an x squared, what's this one going to have? An x. And the next is going to be
It's
just a
gonna have
number.
nothing, and
It's
then-
going to be a
then
number.
you're gonna get
And then your
your
remainder.
remainder.
See, it's the same thing over and over. Now,
It's a pattern.
let's see. What is negative 7x times x? Well, we know it's going to match that. And negative 7x times 2.
14.
N-
Negative 14.
negative 14x. And remember, I am subtracting. I just distributed this times x and this times 2.
Okay, so
We
you
just distribute.
always- that's
So would it
how
be
you do
7?
that, okay.
So,
It would be 7x.
question, no, if I subtract, I get a 7x
Right.
plus 6. Questions on that part? Let's just put it in your calculator to see that answer. Now,
And then you have to figure out.
what times x is 7x.
7.
7. All we're missing is a 7.
So do we add 7?
So it's a positive 7, so we put a plus 7. So 7 times x is 7x.
And then you're gonna
7
times 2 is 4.
times
and
2.
then 14,
And then we
remainder
subtract.
will be 8. Remainder
Negative 8.
8. Negative 8, yeah.
So that's our answer up here with a remainder of negative 8.
I know, I know my negative 8, I just wrote the first part only. I put 3
Yeah.
squared to
Alright.
Yeah, I screwed up in the beginning. I put 3x squared minus 6x. Or no, 3x cubed minus 6x. Okay, we're on the plus side.
Okay, that's
Now,
pretty good.
the next one,
Alright,
we're looking at number 7. Do y'all want me to do number
Can we
7?
do that
Or-
again?
Yeah. So listen, you're going to do number 7. I want you to see the wording of it. Look, it says, here is your polynomial. I want you to divide it by this to see if that's a factor. All we're looking for is what's the remainder.
7.
So yeah, we're doing number 7. I'll write it out for you. Yes. Huh? Okay. So I'm gonna write this out for you, but you're gonna put this and you're gonna divide it by x plus 4, and we're trying to find out if this is a factor. And it has everything to do with the remainder of 0 or not. It's only a factor if the remainder is 0. So let me write it out.
All it is x plus 4 and then all the numbers at the top.
X to the third minus 4x. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm writing the wrong one. Sorry.
I think I already got it
X
wrong.
to the third plus 3x squared minus 10x minus
That's my
24
method.
I like it.
divided by x plus 4. Okay, now, y'all can't even see that. Y'all can quietly work on this one for a second. This is number 7. Now, what do we multiply by x to give me x to the third?
X squared.
Very good, Thad. So, or whoever else got that answer. X squared times x is x to the third. X squared times 4,
Is 4x.
4x squared. Now,
Party got it wrong.
then I subtract everything. Y'all, these go away. And what's 3 minus 4?
And then negative x.
Yeah. So do y'all want me to put a 1 or not? Yeah. Okay, I'll put a 1. If you,
Yeah, I don't use 1.
okay, however, it's the same thing. All right, I'll put a 1 this time. I won't next time.
Okay.
So 3 minus 4 was negative 1, and bring down my negative 10.
That's right.
Now, what times x is going to give me a negative 1 x squared? A negative x, or a negative 1x, right? Okay. Now I distribute that negative 1x. What's negative x times x?
Is x squared.
Negative 1x squared. I'll just write it.
And
And then negative x times 4?
is
Negative 4x.
and
Be
negative
careful.
x squared.
That's where I was going to ask my question. But then
Now you're subtracting. Those go away. What is negative 10 minus negative 4?
6x.
Negative 6x.
Yeah, it's negative.
And bring down minus 24. What times x is negative 6x?
6.
Negative 6. So negative 6x minus 24. And here's what happens. They all go away to 0. Boys, y'all listen. My remainder is 0. That's all it wants on this one. If your remainder is 0, then yes, it's a factor. Okay, again, think about the numbers 2 and 10. If I divide 10 by 2, there's no remainder, right? Because 2 goes into 10 evenly. That's the same thing that this is saying. This is a factor because it can go into this without a remainder. That's what you're looking for. Do we want one more of those where it asks about the remainder?
I
Just
got it.
just one more. Just one more, and then we'll move on to synthetic division. And that's the last thing we'll learn today.
Is the sin
I-
division going to be easy?
It's not. Oh, I'll plug it in a second. Okay, listen real quick. What we have. Let me make sure this is still going. Yeah. No, not yet. I want to say something about all these. Make sure, because in a little bit, they do it, I think, on the back of this sheet. But notice, and I might do one from the back of the sheet. Notice that when I have my polynomial written, it's x to the third, then what comes next? X squared, then what comes next? an X, and then your number. It's happened every time for us, right? Now, on this side, I want you to, we're going to do number 31. Okay, we're going to do, the reason is because there's something wrong with the way it's written.
I don't see it.
X to the fourth, what's this one? X to the third, what should be next?
X squared, man.
An X squared, and there's not one. So, there has to be an X squared, but it's gone to 0. So I'm going to show you how to write it. But does everybody understand that everything must go in order? If they have skipped something, it throws the entire problem off. They have skipped an X squared. So we're going to have one to hold its place. So I'm going to show you how to write it, but we're looking at 31. Let me plug my computer in real quick.
So this is synthetic.
Can I go to the bathroom?
Yes, Ben, you may. You're not going to do anything else.
31.
Okay. Now, I think that's going to keep my computer on. So, I'll show you how to write 31.
Do you have a pencil shop? Oh, I see.
Yep. Number 31, I know I've skipped, but x to the fourth, plus 2x to the third. We don't have an x squared, but I must hold its place. Otherwise, it would throw my entire problem off. And I'm going to divide it by x minus 1. Is there anybody that doesn't understand why I did that?
No.
Like, we all kind of get that?
Why?
Why?
Why did
If you tried to
zero
do it,
X?
if you tried to divide this without something here, you're going to have x squareds in a minute, and you're going to have nowhere for them to go.
Oh no.
But so you get it like throw them in there if you feel like it.
No, you have to have something to hold their place. Because you're going to have an x squared appear. And it's going to have to go right here, huh?
I'm just saying, so why did they do it to us?
Oh, because they're mean.
To
I
learn
guess.
us.
Yeah, to learn. No. To make sure that you know that these have to be in like standard form like this.
Okay, so let's start.
Okay, quiet time.
Oh.
Yep.
Right.
Here we go. I'm going over. Y'all can talk about this at lunch. That's yeah. All right. Now, what times x is x to the fourth? X to the third.
Yep.
So when I multiply those, it would give me 4 x's. And x to the third times negative 1 is negative 1x to the third. But I told y'all this time I'm not putting the 1, right?
I did.
I mean, that's fine. You can, but that way some people don't like that. Now,
That's where
I
started
subtract.
subtracting, and I got
2 minus negative 1.
I got 1x.
Where do you get the
1x cubed.
It's right here. 2 minus a negative 1. What is 2 minus negative 1?
3x.
3.
Oh,
So we have
that's where I
3x to the third.
Oh, that's where I goofed.
And bring down, I thought you had the right answer.
I had a remainder of 1, but I didn't.
Something else happened? Okay.
That's right, goofed too.
What
I thought it was 1.
times
I
x
did too.
is 3x to the third?
3.
3.
X squared.
And I need how many x's?
And
X
I-
squared.
plus that.
Now I'll distribute that.
Okay.
3.
And then you
3x
multiply,
squared
that's
times
equal to
x.
3x.
3x to the third. And then that's a negative 3x squared. Anybody have a question on that? I just distributed
And then you
this times x,
subtract.
this times negative 1. And now, yes, be careful with the
one.
subtractions. Huh?
Right?
What?
Yes.
Yeah, these cancel out. What is 0 minus negative 3? 3. So we have 3x squared and bring down our x. We got to keep going. What times x is 3x squared?
3x.
A 3x. Lots of 3's.
Yay.
So we get 3x squared. And then what's 3x times negative 1? And be careful because we are subtracting. So those cancel out. What is 1 minus negative 3? 4. And then I'm going to bring down my minus 3. What times x is 4x? A 4. So I would get 4x minus 4. And now be careful. What is negative 3 minus negative 4?
Negative 1. Or
A
1.
positive 1. We have a
Okay,
remainder
so-
of 1. So this is our whole answer. And no,
That's
it's
for
not a
all
factor. It would not be a factor if that's what it was asking.
No, okay, so like, you got,
Got it right.
You got your x minus 3 right there, right?
We did
And then-
31.
I got my x minus what?
Yeah, you see in the,
This right here?
Yeah, in the box right there.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you just like get rid of that x and put minus 3.
So my x, I brought it down right here. It was before. And then when I did x minus 3x, it's 4x.
Oh,
Then my last step, I bring down my minus 3. You bring
Okay.
down one of these every time.
Okay.
Every time you move over, one of those
Oh,
numbers
Pedro,
comes
hold on.
down.
You put 0.
Okay.
It's a remainder. I put 0?
Oh, you must have
Bless
the
you.
paper.
No, you're chilling. You didn't do it.
It's a remainder of 1. It
I
is
got the remainder of 1, and I got x cubed the first time, and then after I got x
you kind of
cubed,
messed up in there.
Yeah, it was just like all.
Okay.
the
Do we feel like we need to do another one of these, or do we want to take a look at synthetic division? Okay. The good news, we have time. We have 15 minutes left.
Start a whole nother.
So, no, we're not going to learn all of it, but we're not going to sit here either and do nothing. So, we'll start it. You can use, on your test, it may say to divide using synthetic division or divide using long division. Y'all, honestly, if you just know one of the methods, you're going to be fine. It doesn't really matter. You can pick whichever one. Some people prefer synthetic division. It's not that hard. It's just there's a method to it. What we'll probably do on Tuesday is review all this and then pick back up. But let me go ahead and move on to synthetic division. Here's our first problem. Shh, y'all stay quiet though, because you have to learn the method. And you do need to know it. All right, it says they have this polynomial x to the third minus 14x squared plus 51x. My goodness, can y'all make a little more noise? Minus 54. And they want us to divide it
Plus 51x.
plus 51x minus 54. They want us to divide it by x plus 2. Now, this is a method. Again, you have to learn it. What they're saying is, if this is a factor, what's the root? If this was set equal to 0, what would the root be?
negative 2.
-2. So they're going to want us to take our -2 and they put it in a little box right here.
Okay.
Okay? Does everybody understand? Remember, when you find a root, it's always the opposite. So we have our -2. Then they want us to bring down all of our coefficients. What's a coefficient?
Numbers.
The number in front of each variable, or in each little term here. They want us to bring them down. So what's my first number? A 1. What's my next number?
14.
What is it though? It's a -14.
And then a positive 51.
And then a
and a negative 54.
okay. So that's all we're gonna look at is numbers. We can forget variables. Okay. On this one, we don't even have to see the variables. Now, the first thing you do is you not multiply yet. You bring this down.
Okay, I get
That's
it.
our 1. You get it.
Oh, you get it
Yeah,
then?
because
Oh, you get it?
how there's a pattern like the last one, there's
What?
going to be
Hold on. There's going to be a pattern.
There's
Yes,
an
hold
x
on.
cubed.
So you're going to start with an x squared. But wait. Okay, just wait. This is going to be our first coefficient in a second. Now, to get to our next one, we're going to multiply. What's -2 times 1?
-2.
Where did that come from?
That is our root. They said this is what we would be dividing by. So it would be our root. So it would be -2. We're doing one from my book. Now, then I'm going to take these, and this is where it's backwards. Before we subtracted. So this time, we're just,
Oh, buddy.
I know that's the hard part, is remembering this is adding. Okay, what's -14 plus -2?
-18.
-16. Now, the same thing. What's -2 times a -16?
Negative.
A positive. 32. And now let's add those numbers. What are they?
83.
And we're almost done. -2 times 83 is what?
164.
-166.
What is this?
-166.
That's
And now let's add.
-2 times.
Did we do something wrong? No, we didn't. It's right. It's right. Now let's add these. What are they?
Numbers.
Oh wait, that's gonna be
-220.
Yup.
We're done.
And then you just
We're about to write down our answer, but wait. Just wait. Every time we divided, we always ended up with our exponent being 1 under. So I'm going to start with my x squared. It is 1x squared minus 16x plus 83
Oh, that seems easy.
with a remainder of negative 220. That's my
Yeah, that's
answer.
definitely way easier.
Wait, you can do this or the other?
Yeah, now it might have the directions, but you needed to know, they want you to know both. I normally only teach you one method of something because I hate learning all these different things, but I think both of these are very important. So,
Yeah, I like this way.
yeah, so, I mean, that's what, and we'll do one more. I'll do one more with y'all, and then we're going to pick up.
Again, next class.
Yeah, we're going to go over both of them in next class because we've got to practice. But I get to do one more before y'all leave. I'll do number 12. It says x to the third, 5x squared, negative x, negative 9. And this one again is saying x plus 2. Remember they're saying that's my root. So what's my number going to be? Negative 2.
You put it in your little box.
So you put that in your box. What are all my coefficients? 1, 5.
Negative 1,
Negative 1 and 9.
And you always bring your first one down. And what's negative 2 times 1? Negative 2. And you add. Remember, this is weird because you add them.
Wait, so you do.
You're just
one
multiplying
plus
this.
Negative 1.
So this is 3. Hold on. Any questions? I've got people going everywhere.
So you just add 1 plus negative 2?
No. Okay, listen. All right. You bring down your 1.
Okay.
You always bring down the first thing. You have to bring it down. Then you're multiplying this times your terms. So negative 2 times 1 is what? Negative 2. Then I add. Okay, then negative 2 times 3, because remember we're just distributing basically, is negative 6. And I add in this one. And then negative 2 times negative 7.
Negative,
And then I add
Would be like +5.
positive 5. And I'm done.
That's
If
it.
I start with an x to the third,
it goes down by
it has to be down 1 because we basically factored something out. We factored one of them out. So we have 1x squared plus 3x minus 7. And what's my remainder? There's our answer. That's synthetic division.
That's way easier.
Yeah, that's
I forget about the other one.
What number was that one? I just like to check. Number 12. All right, we're done for the day.